South Florida Access is back. I'm your SFA host, Moni Lebro, and I am so excited to tell you and show you what the SFA team has been working so hard on directly from our own homes. So let's just go ahead and call this the South Florida Access at Home Edition. One of our reporters, Yuseli Solis, sat down with the founders of Buddy System, a nonprofit organization that connects high-risk people with volunteers that can help them to get groceries and other essentials. Raul's story is an oncologist who often puts others before himself. He met a fashion designer and together they put together a project called We Are Goddess Society. And with this project, they hope to empower women all over the world. Check it out.
Dedicated, passionate, and generous. 3 words that describe oncologist Dr. Story. From Venezuela to the United States with an inspiring story to share.
And my dad, who was, as I said, very, very active and very involved in businesses. And he was the CEO of an auto part corporation. And at that time, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. I basically took the lead of all the research and all the different actions we had to take in order to proceed with his treatment and the path, the journey that he had to go through to achieve his treatment.
While dealing with the pandemic has not been easy, Dr. Story has incorporated routines and activities for each of his patients to do virtually to keep them positive throughout these difficult times.
We have from painters, poetry, storytellers, we have singers, musicians, we have yoga instructors, mindfulness training experts. We have a whole spectrum of artists that are actively in the chemotherapy area while the patients are getting their infusion. It helps with anxiety, helps with their depression, helps with the sense of hope, in helping them, creating that sense of support and community when they're participating in common artistic experiences.
Dr. Story felt a powerful connection with Venezuelan fashion designer Catherine Cordero. And together, they have created We Are Goddess Society, a new project with a powerful message to be shared with the world.
La misión de nosotros claramente es inspirar a las mujeres.
Our mission is to clearly inspire women to connect with their internal beauty and empower themselves while working with that beauty. It's not about the headpiece. It's a moment that you put it on and you feel the connection with yourself. Congratulations to you both on this wonderful project and to women empowerment. From South Florida Access, this is Andrea Gonzalez. Now back to you, Moni.
The pandemic hasn't taken it easy on any of us. So how have businesses kept up? Well, we have the story of a brand that has relied heavily on social media, not only to connect with its consumers, but also stay afloat.
Many people's priorities are changing during the pandemic. So, how are fashion brands dealing with this?
Mode Revolution is a Miami-based sustainable e-commerce brand, and their social media does more than just sell products.
This decision is one decision that I made as a founder, is like, we're not gonna be pushing sales so much. Of course, as time evolves, we do promote certain products that we think were appropriate, like pajamas that are sustainable, super comfortable, that they don't have any harmful chemicals, and these sorts of products that we think were appropriate for the time that we were in.
Hassan wants to use mode as a platform to help people become aware of the sustainability issue while also giving them a positive message in these hard times.
I don't want to buy anything. So hearing from a brand something that isn't a product and you're like, wow, this brand really cares about me, and they don't just want me to buy from them, they also want me to be happy and to be well.
On Instagram, Mode has shared tips to help consumers get through quarantine.
And we had a mini series in Instagram TV called Sharing is Caring. And we asked the brands and the designers of Mode Revolution to film a super short video giving tips for how to stay positive during quarantine and to share their own quarantine stories on things that were helping them, like meditation, yoga classes, but very specific tips and advice for our followers.
People rely more on social media because of the pandemic, especially when it comes to their favorite business.
I've been using social media much more than before. I've felt the need to be more connected with my friends, with my family. And I think that brands that are successful at doing it are those that actually give you content that you can think about.
Mode Revolution is taking a negative situation to create an impactful change. This is Valeria Venturini with the South Florida Access. Back to you, Moni.
Celia Cruz, David Ortiz, Rosie Perez. These are all prominent Afro-Latinos. Up next, more on the Afro-Latino community and their identity in the nation's current political climate.
After the murder of George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter movement has sparked change in society and the media, not only in the United States but around the world. Although many Latinos have shown their support for the movement, others don't believe the problem concerns them.
Those who say it doesn't affect us are living in a bubble. I believe so. I think they're living in a bubble. They're trying to live in a world that is completely, a fantasy world where they feel it's not going to affect them, and just pretend that nothing has happened while the rest of the people are really being hurt and discriminated and a lot of prejudice against our community.
Part of the communities directly affected include Afro-Latinos. This term is used to define people who are a part of both the Black and Latino community. Did you know that the U.S. Census of 2017 reported more than 3 million Afro-Latinos here in the United States? Their community has struggled with representation in media and history for years.
Hay muy pocos afro-latinos en la televisión.
There are very few Afro-Latinos in television, not only on shows but also in soap operas and the Hispanic movie industry.
They have taken it upon themselves to increase the visibility of their contributions and efforts.
I think today we have several groups, several different organizations out there working to enable our community to be visible.
The Ernesto Gamboa Project is one of the organizations that advocates for Afro-Latinos in Miami. Addison created the Afro-Latino Excellence Summit, which has awarded personalities such as journalist Tony Andrades.
Being there with my mom, my dad, my wife, my kids, and my brothers was a very nice moment receiving that award.
Both of our sources agree that education is the main necessity of society as we move forward. This was Paula Marcano Bolivar for South Florida Access. Back to you, Moni.
So first off, I just want to ask, how did the Buddy System Network come about? Whose idea was it?
So that was Jess and I started it, like mid-March now. I got super sick with COVID actually myself and didn't have much of a support system. So I had a neighbor next door, Eric, who's one of our other co-founders. He helped us create the nonprofit and I was calling him and I said, can you help me get Tylenol? Can you help me pick up these items? Because I was confined to my home and how scary it must be, I thought, for people who don't have support systems. And then as we kept growing, we kept finding more and more that it was there was a very vulnerable population that wasn't being served in the Miami community. So we have a bunch of different things that we do at this point, but our main, our core programming is pairing folks in the at-risk demographic, so people who are elderly or have a compromised immune system or aren't able to access food distributions on their own because they don't have a car, perhaps. For whatever reason, they're not able to find the assistance with food access that they would otherwise usually be able to. And we pair them with a volunteer in their neighborhood, so your buddy or your friend in the neighborhood who is able to run to those food distributions on your behalf, or if you have the means to pay for the groceries on your own, they can go to the grocery store for you. So that's the idea, is that's our core programming.
Interesting. Did you guys face any challenges when starting this?
Let me tell you, pretty smooth. I would say at every challenge we've had, we've been able to always find a solution. One of the challenges was actually folks not being able to pay for their groceries, right? So what did we do? We were like, well, let's connect people to food distributions, right?
So a lot of these folks, though, shouldn't be leaving their house or don't have a car. And the problem with the food distributions here in Miami is that they were mostly all car only. And then the problem that we saw was that the volunteers who were going ahead and getting these groceries and getting these boxes were having to wait very long lines. Like we had a volunteer at one point, like 4 hours. And, you know, I think as a volunteer, we want to make it as easy for the people in our program, not only to help, but to receive support. So we ended up hosting our own food distributions as a way to this solution, it's a way to fix this solution, this challenge, right? And then I feel like with Buddy System, that's how it's been. Every time we find a challenge, we just throw more.
And then from there, the next issue we had was that we couldn't accept donations to do these food distributions because we weren't a nonprofit. We were a mutual aid community organizing platform. And so we partnered with a few amazing organizations, Crossbridge Church, One More Child, some amazing organizations that were able to help us. And then because we just kept hitting our head against this, we're not a nonprofit issue, we decided to just apply and become a nonprofit. So we're now officially a nonprofit, and we just, because of that, we now applied for a grant and got a grant. And so now we're able to help the community even further through the pandemic and then after it. So anytime we had a challenge, we found that actually we came out of it a little stronger.
Well, congrats. I was actually going to ask you about that grant. That's amazing. How will this help the system grow, like continue to grow?
Absolutely. So the grant is our partner, Eric, applied for it, and we are just so grateful. He did such an amazing job writing this grant, and it is going to allow the community to be supported through the access to sustainable resources. So that looks like a lot of our volunteers will be able to directly help their buddies, so they can find for them resources in food assistance, homelessness, immigration help, things, any sort of issue that somebody's coming up against, they are able to immediately access support in that world. And then in addition to that, we also have a lot of money allocated. So that's building this one platform that's going to allow those connections to happen. And then the other part is the direct aid part.
What Kristen said, it's like, it started with like, food assistance, but then folks come with like other things that we have been able to provide resources for.
For example, if one of our viewers wants to sign up to be a volunteer, what's the process? What do they have to do?
When they get to the website, they'll see there's a form to fill out. There's a waiver to sign. Soon there will be a background check, liability. So there's a lot of steps, but they'll see it as soon as they get to the website.
Perfect. One of the last questions, what has been one of the biggest lessons learned from doing all of this for you, both of you?
Has been that at the end of the day, like the community, like we support each other, and that's something that I've noticed time after time. Like, and also just abundance, the abundance that there is in our community. Like, there's money everywhere, there's support everywhere, there's good people everywhere, there's an abundance of food everywhere. Like, it's just connecting the dots and being that middleman. But I would say, like, yeah, we support each other. Like, no one was there for folks when they didn't have cars. Like, literally the community supports the community.
Yeah, I agree. I also would say, I think I'm constantly surprised at how many resources there are available to us within the community. So through nonprofits, through community organizing campaigns, through the citywide assistance, and how many resources we aren't aware of, or that we don't know we have access to. So sort of finding those and weeding those out, and putting people in touch with, this organization is doing exactly what you need help with. And so that's really always quite eye-opening, things that we didn't even know were there and that person didn't know was there.
There are a lot of people proud of you guys, because that's something that it wasn't happening before. And obviously we're all in a time that, a lot of things were going wrong and everybody was scared, and, but for you guys to come and like do something like that for your communities, and it's just so selfless, because even though you guys don't have like, how do I say it, like the diseases or anything like pre-existing health conditions, you guys volunteers also, you guys still put yourselves on the line to like help other people, and we're very selfless. So I congratulate you guys, and I'm so glad you sat down with me to talk about this.
Thanks for watching this South Florida Access at Home Edition episode. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and follow us on all of our social media. Stay safe, wash your hands, and mask up if you need to.